Ladies, gentlemen, and of course, everybody in between, welcome back to the Electrek Garage. I'm your host, as always, Declan Cav, and today this company in Southern California has for some reason invited me out to test drive their multi-million-dollar prototype solar electric car. Why are they letting me do this? Jesus Christ. This is the 2024 Aptera. That's it. It's just the Aptera. This is a hyper-efficient, solar-powered electric car made right here in Southern California. I've actually been a reservation holder for this car for almost 3 years, so getting the opportunity to check out this prototype is insanely cool. Aptera actually isn't a new company. They were founded in 2009 by Chris Anthony and Steve Fambro, and they started with a couple different prototypes, but unfortunately, to lacking technology and company structuring issues, the company was liquidated. But then in 2019, the two original CEOs decided to try again, and here we are with an insanely cool solar-powered electric car that's almost to production. This is the Gamma prototype, which is almost production intent. Behind me, you can see some of the Alpha prototypes, but this is almost ready for production. They have 60% of their tooling done for the manufacturing, so this company is looking very promising, and they better be, because I really want my Aptera. The Aptera comes in two different drivetrain options. You can get dual motor front-wheel drive, or you can get three-motor all-wheel drive, which is what this one is. But what's really cool about these motors is that instead of having a transmission and axles and all these things that are inefficient, they just put the motors in the wheels. This car uses hub motors, which on top of being super efficient, is just straight up super cool. All right, I get to drive the Aptera. For reference, I've been a reservation holder for 3 years, so this is ungodly exciting to me. We're just gonna tap, we just tap D. We're in drive. At it?
Yep.
Here we go. Driving the Aptera. So this does have production intent suspension, correct?
Yeah, it's gonna be a little less stiff, but if you want to kind of just loop around here so we can go out the same way.
Yeah. Regulations do require that they have actual mirrors, but we also have the cameras directly in front of us, which is super nice. The one thing I do immediately notice is this split windscreen. My proportions might make it a little bit of a blind spot, but it's not bad. Also, because the production versions, most of them are going to have a solar hatch. Currently, I can see out the back of the hatch, but we also have an actual camera mirror right here. I don't know if this is going to pick up on video, but the sounds of the motors in this thing are amazing. Oh my gosh, this thing, you don't think about it being three wheels. Like, off the bat, I can't tell that this thing is three wheels. Oh my gosh, this is too fun. Oh my gosh. Power brakes, power steering, correct?
This one is a manual, but the brakes are manual, but yeah.
Yeah, I can feel the manual brakes, but production version will have power.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah, so this is the Gamma prototype, so it's a little bit different, but oh my gosh, is this thing fun. While this car can charge at an impressive 700 watts on the solar panels, this car was actually not designed to be a solar-powered car. This car was designed with efficiency first. So this is not a solar car that's hyper-efficient, this is a hyper-efficient electric car that just happens to have solar panels on it, which just makes it all that much cooler. Just to express how efficient this car really is, the 2024 Hyundai Ioniq 6 is one of the most efficient cars you can currently buy, with a rating of 4.6 miles per kilowatt hour. The Aptera over doubles that at 10 miles per kilowatt hour. This efficiency is insane. Comparing it to another three-wheel car, the Electromechanica Solo, this thing does not feel nearly as unstable on the road. This thing doesn't feel unstable at all. Also appreciate I can see my wheel skirts, so I know where the car is at all times because it is a wider car. And we can also see, do we have solar turned on?
Oh, no, it's not on. Let's turn it on.
Let's turn on solar. This is prototype. So All right, and now we have solar charging. This one, since it's a prototype, we only have hood charging. And are these real solar panels up here too?
Yeah,
or?
yeah.
Okay, so we also have solar panels up here on the dash, which is super cool. If you want to show those real quick.
Yeah.
We have solar panels on the dash, which is great because that's just a heat source in a normal car. So you got solar panels up there, and this thing just feels awesome. And it doesn't feel like a different car. Driving this car feels like a normal car. This car has a lot of cool features on it. I mean, it's solar powered, it's hyper efficient, it's just an all around cool car. But for me, this is the coolest part. Come up to the door, there's no door handle, so how do you open it? I've been doing this all day and it does not get old. All right, getting into the Aptera. I do gotta reiterate that this is a prototype, but even for a prototype, this feels really good in here. It is hugely roomy in here. I have so much headroom. I'm 6'3". Headroom, legroom is insane. There is just so much room and the viewing angles are great. One thing that I talked about on the drive as well is this steering wheel, super nice. I love the yoke. I love that I can just put my hands here like this and it feels very natural. This entire center console is basically all prototype, so we don't need to go into depth about this. But then here we have our center screen, which is slightly bigger than it'll be in production, but you can get a good feel of how that's gonna look. And then around your screen, you have this big bezel. And you might be wondering what that is. That's your air vents. There are adjustable air vents inside of here, and that is such a cool design. You don't have any air vents on the dash, it just comes out the sides of the screen. That is so cool. Up here, you got a mirror that is also a camera because on a lot of the versions, you're not gonna be able to see out the rear hatch. These seats are super comfortable. I mean, they hug you nicely, they feel stable. I drove this car for around 15 minutes and they just felt really good driving around. All the materials in here feel very nice. There's this little tag on the steering wheel. Is this gonna make it to production? Freaking love this thing. I'm so glad that makes it to production. Viewing angles are great, and overall, just a great interior for this car. I also gotta say, the amount of room in here is insane. So this is, you said, only 1% bigger than the Alpha prototype?
Yeah, by volume, but
it feels so much better. And we'll hop into an Alpha prototype in a little bit so you can see the comparison. I have so much headroom here. I have a ton of legroom. Chris has a ton of legroom over there.
Too much.
Yeah. So this is insanely, the seats are comfortable too as well. I gotta point that out. And this is classified as a tricycle?
Autocycle.
Autocycle, that's what it's called. But we don't have to wear helmets because it's enclosed.
Yep.
And you don't need a special license either in most states.
Yep, you don't need one in any state.
Oh, cool. So no special license needed. You drive it just like a normal car. Safety regulations, if we talk about that for a second, you are not forced to follow them, but you do, correct?
Right, so yeah, the Aptera has airbags. It has a passenger safety cell that's made of carbon fiber, so it's kind of designed like a F1 car in terms of
very much like
structure.
a roll cage, kind of.
Yeah, we have a steel metallic structure that's kind of like a roll cage over top.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just ultra strong. And then the exterior is fiberglass, of course. So
yeah,
if it's easy to repair if you ever hit something.
Absolutely.
I think it feels better than people expect for a prototype.
This feels insanely cool. Like I said, I've been waiting 3 years, and I'll wait another 3 if this is the product that they're delivering, because oh my god, this is a beautiful driving car. This thing, it's just amazing to drive. And that motor sound, that's everything. I appreciate a good motor sound. When the production one comes out and this steering wheel is adjustable, I imagine these are going to be way more useful.
Yeah.
At my height, the steering wheel's a little bit in the way of my mirrors or my cameras here, but in the production version that will be fixed. All right, of course, it wouldn't be one of my videos if I didn't try to get into the back of this thing. Now, just like the doors, to open the back, you just go. I love that. And now I'm gonna very gently, there's a bit of a still here, so kind of. Let's see if I fit. I fit very easily back here, but let's close it. I fit. You can't see me though. It's very spacious back here. Now you might expect a car like this to cost a lot of money. I mean, I would spend an ungodly amount of money on this thing if I could, but it's actually not that expensive. The base model Aptera starts at $25,900. That's it. That's an insane deal for a car this futuristic. The reason that this car isn't ungodly expensive is because there's just not a lot of car here. There's no massive innovations being made with this. They're just taking a lot of really, really good ideas that have already been known and putting them all together into one car. So it's basic, it's minimalist, but it's just a great car at a great deal. That is something that you have to bring up too, because the battery pack in this thing can be so small. For 250 miles of range, for reference, on something like the Kia EV9, you're gonna need about 100 kilowatt hour pack. This thing, you need a 25 kilowatt hour pack, a quarter of the size of the battery pack, because of just how efficient it is. And that's not even accounting for the solar abilities. This car, even if we're ignoring the solar capabilities of this car, is insanely efficient. It's so impressive to me, and there is no doubt to me that this is what cars should be. So the estimated range on the 25 kilowatt hour pack is 250 miles of range.
Yeah.
Plus an additional 40 miles of solar. So realistically, my range would be closer to 290.
That's true, yeah, because in the course of a day, you would charge back up, right?
Yeah.
So it's just always a trickle charging the battery, you know? So if you're already at 100%, you're going to get really nothing out of it. But if you're less than 100, it'll charge back up.
Yeah, so that's so cool to me, that you could drive this thing every day. I mean, my commute to school is 5 miles. I would never have to plug in this car. This is Robert. Robert likes electric cars. Robert, what are your thoughts on the Aptera?
Honestly, I love the shape, and I think we need more efficient EVs. If you look at something like the Hummer EV, you know, we could build, what, how many of these Apteras with the same amount of kilowatt hours that go into a Hummer EV?
Nerd. Out of 10 what is Cody's rating system? 10 out of 10. What would you rate these cars?
Oh, definitely a 10.
10 out of 10?
Definitely 10 out of 10.
Are you going to reserve one?
If I had the money, yes, but I just bought a Bolt, so...
Okay, well, you didn't need to flex. Get the out of here. For a startup company, they have been impressively successful without any major backers. You guys don't, as far as I'm aware, you guys don't have any major sponsors from car companies or anything like that. So yeah, it's just, you guys are fully self-funded. You just closed your accelerator program. So that means you raised $30 million?
$33 million.
$33 million from the accelerator program in this car, which is just insane. That's like a huge crowdfunding thing that they just pulled off on this car. So the amount of progress that Aptera has been able to make over the past couple years with this car is just so impressive to me. And to people who are saying like, oh, this company's gonna go under or anything like that, being in the car and driving it and seeing Aptera's facilities here in Carlsbad, California, I have no doubt that they're going to reach production and that this is going to be a very popular car. Watch, when these cars start getting driven by customers on the road, they're going to be better than a Cybertruck in terms of popularity, and better in every other way, because I hate the Cybertruck. This is everything that the Cybertruck is not, in the best way possible. A lot of people might write off Aptera as just another electric car startup, but Aptera has done so much that every other electric car startup has not been able to do. I mean, let's use another electric car startup as an example. Electromechanica.
Electromechanica?
No, that's a different video.
Oh, okay.
Electromechanica, they made some cars. Looking at what Aptera has done on such a smaller scale than what Electromechanica did on such a bigger scale, it's easy to see that they're not just another startup company. This is easily a company that you can put your money behind. Being able to see behind the scenes at Aptera, being able to see their solar manufacturing, and even some stuff that I couldn't show you, like their BMS system, super cool. When you guys see that, that's gonna be so cool. But this gives me a lot of hope for the future of this company, which is good, because I invested in them. But despite that fact, this seriously is an insanely impressive electric vehicle startup company, and I have huge faith in them.
I think it's cool, like there's not that much body roll or anything like that, right?
No.
Like if you really corner it.
Well, that probably has to do something like with the 3 wheels too, I imagine.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, it's so sporty. So yeah, with the Solo, comparing it to another 3-wheel car, when you whip the Solo, it feels like you're gonna tip over. This thing is so stable on the road.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I imagine you can't flip this thing, especially with the low center of gravity with the battery pack being below us.
Yeah, no way.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun. This is Quinn. He doesn't really like electric cars. I mean, you're kind of indifferent.
I don't not like them. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the Aptera?
I think it's pretty cool. Pretty neat design. Pretty promising, I'd say.
What were your thoughts on riding in it?
It's pretty quick. It's got a lot of torque. It handles really well too, surprisingly enough. I mean, you don't really feel like it's a 3-wheeler at all.
out of 10 Shmeebos, I'm already forgetting this rating system. What did you give it?
I give it like a 9 out of 10. I think it's pretty good.
Where did it lose at one point?
I don't know.
You just didn't feel like giving it a 10 out of 10? Okay.
Like not everything's 100. I mean.
Okay. Bye. You know, by coming out here to Carlsbad and driving this car, you've absolutely screwed me over that I have to go back home and drive my Chevy Volt for another however many years until I get my delivery.
Oh my gosh.
Everything is just gonna feel worse. And we've been driving for a little bit now. Not once have I noticed that this is a three-wheel car.
No.
It feels exactly like a normal car.
Right.
And that's a good thing. The driving experience is fun, but it's not substantial in a good way. It doesn't feel like it's trying to be something that it isn't. It feels like an efficient car that I could drive 1,000 miles on the max pack on this car and not have to charge once. I also gotta say, using the yoke, I'm loving it. Honestly, I don't know if this is the normal position to use a yoke steering wheel with my hands on top like this, but when I get my Aptera, this is how I'll use it, because this actually feels like a very natural driving position. Does it have proportional steering?
What do you mean by that? Like it's 1-to-1?
1-to-1?
Yeah.
Okay. Will that be the same on production?
Yeah.
Cool. This is Robert. just say something.
Hello.
He's a YouTuber. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. What's your YouTube channel? Old Wheels.
I think it's called Out of Spec Reviews.
You can't say that. Robert, what's your opinion on the Aptera?
I like it. Get your hand off me.
Out of 10, what would you give it?
It's 9.
Why? Where did it lose to 1 point?
Well, nothing could be 10 out of 10.
Oh my God, you and Quinn are the exact same.
I take if you're comparing me to Quinn, then I'm going to say it's a 10 then.
What do you have against Quinn?
Can't have the same opinions as him.
You actually got to drive the Aptera today. What did you think of the driving experience?
Unbelievable. It does not feel like as much of a prototype as it is. It feels so much closer to production than that car that we drove should feel. My expectations were, I guess, on the floor, and it was way up here.
So after today, are you going to be a reservation holder?
Yes. I'm good, yes.
Okay. And, yeah, get out of here. I don't want you in my video anymore.
All right, I'll stay here.
Get out of here. We need Chris. Get the out of here. So what percentage of this car would you say is production intent?
I mean, it's hard to give a percent because, you know, like the headroom, the legroom, kind of your seating position is production intent, right? The way the drive is, the suspension is pretty close. Everything's just going to get a little bit better. So if you think of like a percent and like how cool it feels, it's probably like 80% of the way to how cool it's going to be. You know?
Absolutely.
So imagine this with sound deadening and more dialed in and, you know, AC and all that. It's going to be really awesome.
Even for a prototype though, this feels production. This doesn't feel like a prototype driving it. I mean, there's a little bit of quirkiness with the screen, and the lack of power brakes and power steering is noticeable. But beyond that, it feels very ready. Honestly, if you turn your back, I might take this home with me.
Me too.
I probably said this earlier in the video, but when I graduate college with my master's in electrical, Aptera is a company I want to work for. There was no doubt for me that this is what cars should be. It's not going to be for everyone. If you have to do towing, if you need more than 2 seats, it's not for you. But if you're doing a daily commute or just need like a weekend car or something to take up to the mountains or something to take cross country, the Aptera is the perfect car for it. This is Chris McCammon. Is that how you say your last name?
Yeah.
Cool. Chris, who are you?
I'm the content manager at Aptera.
Oh, you work here?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I was going to ask you what you think. Okay, 10 out of 10, what do you think of the car?
This is 10 out of 10. This is great. I do drive Gamma all the time.
Did you, when you signed up to have this job, did they make you sign a waiver that says if a YouTuber asks you if it's a 10 out of 10, you have to say yes?
Nope. I had a reservation before I worked here. I got it a few weeks in before I worked here because I thought it was so cool.
Was it the launch edition back then?
That wasn't even announced back then.
Okay. So you're getting the launch edition, but if you had to choose any color, would you stick with Luna or would you go with a different color?
I'd probably go with Soul if I could really pick.
I agree with you on that one. I think it looks best in the white. And if someone wanted to reserve an Aptera, where would they go to reserve one?
Aptera.us. That's it.
Cool. You should reserve one. It's $100 down. Great deal.
70 with your referral code.
Oh, I didn't know I had a referral code.
Do you now?
Right there. Use that. Let's talk about charging on the Aptera. Obviously, you can solar charge this car, but on top of that, behind your rear license plate, you have a NACS port. You probably can't see that. NACS, if you don't know, is the Tesla standard, and a lot of people don't realize that the lead for automakers to switch to the NACS standard was headed by Aptera. A lot of people made fun of them online, like why would you try to switch to a Tesla port and not just use CCS? And now all automakers are switching to NACS. Let's talk about charging speeds real quick. This car can charge at around 40 kilowatts, which if you know anything about EV charging is very slow, but not for the Aptera. Because it's so efficient, 40 kilowatts means that this car gets 400 miles per hour on a charge, which is just insanely cool and efficient. You don't need a big charger to charge this car fast. Just another benefit of being a hyper-efficient electric car. We're here in an alpha prototype Aptera, which is a way earlier one. This is one of their first prototypes. And this is super cool because a few years ago, I actually got to go to Electrify Expo and I got to actually sit in this car. So now getting to drive it is super cool. But this is much more prototypey than the other one. It is actually much smaller in here. Already, it feels a lot different to drive than the other one. Love the sounds though. Definitely notice the lack of power steering in this one. Oh yeah, those are some beautiful sounds though, but noticeably smaller in here. The other one is only 1% larger in terms of volume, but you feel that. And this thing, I feel like I'm sitting up really high. So the amount of refinement that's happened since this prototype and the Gamma is pretty insane. This one also has some pretty rough suspension. This is one of their earliest prototypes, so it's super cool to compare and see where they've come with the Gamma prototype, because it's a huge improvement, and this is already an impressive prototype.
It's a piece of history.
It's a piece of history, absolutely. This will probably be a museum piece one day, I imagine. All right, this is Chris McCammon. He is your social,
content manager
there you
at
go.
Aptera.
And he's gonna walk us through some of their solar assembly. There's a lot of stuff in this factory that we can't show you, which is really disappointing because there's a lot of cool stuff in here. This factory is packed full of the cool stuff, but this is something that we can show you. So let's talk about solar.
Well, here's a Maxeon Gen 3 solar cell, which is what is in our solar panels. Pretty crazy flimsy. So you can see we can kind of fold it by the corners a few degrees. So this is what made the curved solar possible. It has a copper matrix on the back. So you can see here, even if you crack the cell, which is very easy to do, it's still held together in the back, which is great. So you still have power
so it still
going
works.
through it. Right.
That's really cool.
So, worst case, somehow your cell gets cracked, you don't just lose the solar panel, it still works. They are then connected into strings, which look like this. So this comes off our stringer, which is a high volume machine over there. And you see how they're, soldered in between. And you get all these crazy strings. You connect them together with some secret sauce, some secret glass. Then you end up with Aptera Solar. So if you want to hold one, go ahead and just give it a hold.
I will give it a hold,
See,
a strong hold.
yeah,
So yeah, this is the front of the car. This is the panels that would go in the front of the car.
Yep, yeah, and this is just a sample, so it has some delamination and stuff. But the one you saw in Gamma is perfect.
Yeah,
So
this is a good example though of how the solar panels are assembled, and you do this all here in house.
all right behind you.
That's
Yep.
really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, that's actually glass, even though it's semi-flexible.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's
very durable too.
Yeah, it's more durable than windshield glass.
Very cool. And then here we can go through this just for a quick second.
Sure, yeah. So this is some sample parts from CPC, which is the group who's making our body structure in Italy, right? So this is forged carbon fiber right here, which is what the body structure's made of,
Yeah.
and then this is the fiberglass that the outside's made of. But it's pretty cool because it can be it looks like an injection molded part, but it's actually just a forged part, right? So it's put between two dies, pressed, and comes out awesome. So you can get a part every 12 minutes out of those presses.
That's
So
insane. That's a really good turnaround.
Super good high volume production method.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for walking us through that assembly line.
No problem. It's all back there.
Yeah, there's a ton of cool stuff here. There's a lot of cool stuff. A lot of it can't show you, but thank you for walking us through the solars.
No problem.
That's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know I did. I was so excited when I got a response from Aptera telling me that I could not only come and check out their prototypes, but also drive it. Also, I was just informed that I'm the youngest guy to ever drive it at 20 years old, so that's a flex. Huge thanks to Aptera for having us out here. They give us a tour of their factory. They let me drive their cars. Huge thanks to Chris McCammon, who spent his entire Saturday with us here. This is just such a cool experience, something that I never thought I'd be able to do, and here I am. It's gonna be really sad going back to my Volt. I'm not gonna go back to the Volt.
Jesus.
Robert's gonna fucking break this thing.
It is.